on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue. Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue.
Flex. Buckle up and join the best. Let's succeed, relieve your stress. So yes, let the music soothe your soul and keep it going just to refresh. Buckle and enjoy the ride from 2 to the half of the 5. Mondays to Fridays happening live. Where we gon' have a ball, you can text your guys. Let me tell you what you really gotta do. You can count on us, we come through. We got everything you need, that's true. Are you ready for the Traffic Avenue? Let me tell you what you really gotta do. You can count on us, we come through. We got everything you need, that's true. An applause for the Traffic Avenue.
Traffic Avenue, the show for me.
Detailed news, unparalleled coverage. City News on 97.3 FM.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
City News.
It's 17:30 GMT. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. I am Umaru Sanda Amadu. Tonight, I'm here with
Shika Caesar.
And coming up over the next 90 minutes.
The Auditor General's report on the COVID-19 expenditure creates a false impression of wrongdoing concerning the expenditure of some 10 billion of the COVID funds on activities unrelated to COVID-19.
The governing New Patriotic Party, NPP, joins its Attorney General, Godfrey Dame, to take on the Auditor General over the publication of his audit into government COVID-19 expenditure. Tonight we ask, can the Auditor General survive these missiles? Also, Kamna, the Ghana Catholic Bishops' Conference appeals to government to utilize all resources at its disposal to find a solution to the Boku crisis, which is claiming so many lives. And later on Eyewitness News is day 4 of the picketing by retirees who are opposed to government's decision to add their pension funds to the domestic debt exchange program. Stay with 97.3 Citi FM for more on this and many other stories on Eyewitness News. And in business,
Economist Professor Godfred Bobkin projects increase in the country's unemployment rate should the domestic debt exchange program be implemented.
That's in 50 minutes from the business desk of Citi FM and Citi TV. Eyewitness News is live across Ghana on a number of affiliate stations. In the Western region, we are on Beach 105.5 FM in Takoradi, as well as Sky Power 93.5 also in Takoradi. In the Bono region, we are on Greener 95.9 FM in Sunyani. In the Ahafo region, we are on Hames Radio 106.5 FM in Goso. In the Ashanti region, we are on Focus 94.3 FM in Kumasi and Orange 107.9 FM also in Kumasi. In the Volta region, we are on Revival 99.3 FM in Tajavu and Cool 103.5 FM in Ho. In the Northern region, we are on Radio Bimbila 91.9 FM in Bimbila. In Upper East on Tanga 93.7 FM in Bolga and Upper West on Tungsung 97.3 FM in Uwa. Do let us know what you make of the stories we are bringing you by sending your message on WhatsApp 0549 986 996. 0549 986 996. You can send tweets using the hashtag Citi Newsroom. We are also live on Facebook. You can view the proceedings in studio from your Facebook portal and drop your comments there so we let you, the world, know what you think. This is Eyewitness News coming to you from number 11, Dr. Martin Loop in Adabraka in Accra. Last night on Eyewitness News, we brought you the story of the Attorney General's letter to the Auditor General, which letter suggests, among a number of things, that he pulls down the publication he has put up on his website in relation to the audit findings into COVID-19 expenditure. The Attorney General held a view that would prejudice the work of Parliament's Committee on Accounts, which usually would deal with this matter, and also make several other recommendations and requests. We heard from the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, James Klucha-Aveji, last night. He said to us that he agrees with the position of the Attorney General, except that that position is not agreeable in law. So to the extent that what the Auditor General did was lawful, he had no difficulties with it. But he hoped or believes that there should be an amendment of the law so that when the Auditor General finishes his work, before he publishes it on his portal, Parliament would have done work into that committee's work, into that audit report. A report which will be adopted by the House of Parliament would then be publicized as a true and proper report or record of the Auditor General. So that is what happened yesterday. 24 hours on, the New Patriotic Party, the party that Godfred Yeboah-Damieh, the Attorney General, belongs to, which party was lambasted when the former Auditor General, Yao Domelovo, was removed and replaced with this same Auditor General. Many thought that it was a political appointment and that Auditor General was expected to toe a certain line, according to critics of the move at the time. The NPP says what the Auditor General is doing is not right. Before we hear from the NPP, let's hear from a member of the Public Accounts Committee who is MP for Tamale Central, the Honorable Mohammed Murtala. He says that the report of the Auditor General should hold, and the letter written to the Auditor General by the Attorney General should be spiked. Listen.
If I were the Auditor General, I would look for the next available dustbin and put it in there. Look, if the Auditor General investigates a matter and then an individual or institution is cited for breaches of the laws, the Auditor General doesn't just go to publish that as its finding. It affords the people the opportunity, in fact, sometimes about 2 times or 3 times. They come, they go through your books, and then they go and write their reports. They make the report available to you, expecting your response. And in fact, they also come and have a conference meeting with you so that they can ask you further questions on the things that have been identified as breaches of the Financial Regulations Act or laws by you as an individual or by the institution.
So that's a former Nanton MP, current Tamale Central MP, member of the Accounts Committee of Parliament, Murtala Mohammed. Let's hear now from the New Patriotic Party. Its Director of Communication is Richard Ahiagba. He joins us on the line. Mr. Ahiagba, welcome to Eyewitness News. Hello, sir. Richard, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Thank you. Good evening.
Evening, my brother.
Is it that you are at war with the Auditor General who was appointed by the president a few months ago, if not a year ago?
No. The word is too strong to use. We are not at war. We cannot be at war. We actually have to work with the Auditor General. So I'm not sure what you're referring to be at war with him.
So what's your position on the work of the Auditor General, specifically related to the COVID-19 expenditure?
Okay, well, I think that it's very commendable for the Finance Minister to commission that. You know, there's been calls for that audit over time. Parliament, I think as a committee, Parliament that did some work on it, and probably eventually the Finance Minister commissioned this report. So I think it's good that we have that transparency there. But what we are looking at, and in fact, if you see, if you read the audit, the Attorney General's letter to the Auditor General, highlighted a few constitutional points that needed to have been taken note of, in which case the report, and I'm very concerned manifest in the Attorney General's report, saying that the report is premature because if you look at it, there are issues there that if you go to public accounts committee as an agency or ministry, you go, they ask you questions about certain expenditure, and often you will see this, and this is telecast publicly and openly for everybody to see, and you hear that people demonstrate reasons why certain expenditure did not occur or there isn't validation for it, and they explain, and it makes sense in an open forum. But in this case, the Attorney General is directing that this needs to be done, because until that is done, the document cannot be seen as complete. So what we have studied, based on the report having been published before going through the full process, shows some breaches of audit protocols. For example, I think I heard Murtala talking about conferences. In most cases, it didn't happen, you understand? And then some of the explanations that have come following some of the expenditures that have been flagged shows clearly that if there was diligent work, not only on the part of the Auditor General, but also on the part of the agency officials, some of the items that were cited could have been explained. Okay, and so that's just the observation we have made, and we thought that there's a need for those issues to be paid attention to subsequently, so that the false impression is not created as something has been done in an instance of expenditure that is not acceptable, because it feeds into a perception of corruption when it didn't have to.
Why are you all of a sudden interested in the cessation of the publication of the report? Your party in the past has benefited enormously or tremendously from the works of the Auditor General. We remember when you took Alfred Woyome and made him a campaign message in 2012 because he was captured under the Auditor General report to have conducted himself in a way that was not right. All of a sudden, you are doing a U-turn on the same Auditor General's report that you have been hailing and celebrating and using for campaign songs. Why?
Well, certainly, Umaru. I mean, if you are playing a game and the keeper who is in the opposing person's goal does not know the rules and therefore would come out of his 18 to catch the ball with his hands, and you earn a penalty, what's your business? The point I'm trying to make is that we're building institutions. We must build those institutions. And so once the processes are there for us to do it, it doesn't matter if it was not done yesterday, but we must invest to make sure it is done. I don't know, maybe previous Attorney Generals didn't find it a serious business to pay attention to that, and this Attorney General is paying attention to it and ensuring that the right thing is done. We can only commend him and ensure that we build strong independent institutions. And also the fact that in the past something was not flagged for discussion and correction doesn't mean that we can't do it today. So what we're doing is trying to mend our ways and ensure that the right things are done going forward. And in fact, it's not even an attempt to say that the Auditor General is not done well. It's only to say that, yes, we've done well, but these are observations that we have made. We didn't call for the unpublishing of the report. We did not pronounce anything on the report. In fact, I was not aware of this until this morning, that I heard about what work the Attorney General was conversation he was having with the Auditor General in respect of the report. So it's coincidental this morning we find out that this thing was also happening alongside what we did yesterday. Our commitment is just to ensure that, yes, let's flag these things. We need to go full hog to try and uncover some of these things and ensure that we are retrieving, monies that are spent or not spent appropriately, and where people are supposed to be properly surcharged. And one thing, Umaru, I think I need to raise this with you. You saw in the Attorney General's report, letter to the Auditor General, There was an instance where I think it created the impression that the Attorney General prosecutes and tries to retrieve these disallowances and surcharges on behalf of the Auditor General. They are losing a lot of cases because you go to court and the person will come with basis to explain to you this is why. And in court, it's evidence. And once the evidence is adduced and the court is satisfied, you would have gone to court claiming that somebody has done something untoward, and the Attorney General will go there and will not get to retrieve the money. And so that's why it's important to tighten the process to ensure that whatever disallowances are put forth are thoroughly examined, and those are disallowances that will result into retrievable funds for the state. So we're not wasting time and money going only to be told that this is why this happened and it's reasonable and the court will let go. So it's important that we tighten the process and make sure that we're doing a diligent work, one that will be foolproof, so when we go to court, we can get the money that are due the people. Does
the NPP think that the Auditor General is embarrassing it?
No, I just told you, I don't think so. It's a difficult job. It's a tough job. It's one that needs support, and it's a process where we're trying to improve. And as a people, I think all of us need to support the Auditor General to be able to do a diligent job. So I don't think that this indicts their capacity, or they've done a stellar job, but these breaches are significant. And when you have an outcome from the court that suggests that you take these cases to court and you are losing because somehow there's evidence that you should have seen to clear or to not flag those expenditure as disallowable or expenditure to be surcharged, people to be surcharged for, then it means that you need to do more. And so this is just a call for all of us to be diligent and try to make sure that we are paying more attention. And in fact, even this, Umaru, in my view, is not only a thing to be blamed on the Auditor General, for example, because I made a point yesterday. If you take the COVID expenditure, for example, the one with respect to the $120 million that was paid to AVA for the Johnson & Johnson vaccines. This is a straightforward explanation that the officials of Ministry of Health could have just given simply to the auditors and say that, look, we have a supply arrangement that is linked to the uptake of the vaccines. So we can't take all 16.9 million at a go, but we are taking them in batches as we administer the vaccine. So if you see that we have spent only up to 38,000 of how much we have paid to them, it is because we are taking the vaccines as and when we need them. So this would have led to them understanding right there at the exit conference, if they had one, to understand, or maybe any incidental meeting after the collection of this account, they would have cleared this thing. So it's not a thing that Auditor General particularly didn't do the job. Sometimes the interface between the agents, institutions who are leading this audit service to be able to do their work when they come, they are strangers or they are visitors, they are your guests. Sometimes they don't know where this document is. You have to support them. When they find something you don't understand, you have to explain to them. And so if you don't do that, and they walk away to go and cite that you need to go and retrieve $81,000 because something untoward has been done, then it is not necessarily on the Auditor General, but it's on the staff of Ministry of Health who do not pull their weight to be able to answer simple questions and then give them simple explanation. So it is never, in my view, and that's not what really we start out to do. Our goal yesterday, which Umaru will be inviting you to every 2 weeks, is to try and provide some background to issues that have occupied the media space over every 2 weeks where we get to meet the media. And this happened to be one of the issues that we were monitoring, and we thought that it would be proper to provide some background and to help clarify some of the issues which we think that may if not clarified, will fester and create a false impression of wrongdoing.
When a huge party, a party in power for that matter, takes issue with a public officer, oftentimes the public officer loses out. Are we sure that the Auditor General will survive after this, that we've seen a letter written to him by the Attorney General and the party in power also takes issue with his conduct? Can you assure us that the Auditor General can still have his job and will still have his job after this public disagreement?
Umaru, I don't know what precedent you have to speak to in this matter, but I would say that this is not anybody taking on anybody. In my simple way, and my team, we looked at the evidence, we studied the document and found out and spoke to agencies. You know, the particular case, there's a letter that the Ministry of Information had written to the auditors. They just came, did whatever, and they bolted. There wasn't a goodbye. There wasn't an exit conference to say that we found ABCD, right? And this is why the process, if allowed, the document, you can call it a draft document that the Auditor General develops after auditing this account, goes to Parliament. The Parliament vests it, and on Parliament satisfaction and having gone through that document, then the document then becomes foolproof, because then Parliament would have audited, given the agencies opportunity, because it's a process, giving them opportunity to explain why this item was spent and it wasn't supposed to be, and it was spent and you don't have justification for it. So if the process is allowed, then you will culminate at a point where everything is foolproof. So some of these things that, they didn't do, sidestep and thought that, we'll do it as usual. And that is what has created a problem. So it's just a procedural thing, in my view, that needs to be corrected. And it's nothing substantial in the sense that they have not been diligent in executing their mandate, but it's just like some overlook of processes that is consequential for the agencies that are being audited. But for them, it could just be a process, we'll do that next time. But for the agency, and in respect of public funds, it's consequential. So we're just saying that do the little things that they seem little to you, but it's consequential in terms of the outcome for the agency, so that we as the public, we understand that our monies are being spent well, and those who are supposed to be watching are watching closely, so nobody takes our money and misapply them.
Thank you for speaking to us. That's Richard Ahiagba, he's Director of Communications of the New Patriotic Party. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. When we come back, we hear from civil society. I beg your pardon. We hear from civil society organizations, apologies for that have interest in the workings of the Auditor General in the past, the CDD. Plus, we'll also hear from a member of the NPP who is in Parliament and a member of the Appointments Committee, Dr. Dixon Kisi. He does not believe that the publication of the audit report will affect the work of the Accounts Committee of Parliament. Please stay with us.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Haruna football from around the world. Feely on HD Plus from 17 January 2023. Score HD is available only on HD Plus channel 151.
There's something special happening at Heritage Christian College. Their bustling campus is right in the heart of Amasaman, just behind the Olympic Stadium. And it will amaze you what they are doing there. Heritage Christian College is churning out academic excellence with their comprehensive range of degrees, including Bachelor of Business Administration programs, IT, and theology. Don't forget to ask about their professional programs and short courses. What makes Heritage special? Heritage Christian College takes the academic experience further than ever, with one laptop per student, flexible fee payment, entrepreneurial training with financial support, all delivered by a caring faculty working to develop your character and your intellect. Admissions are in progress, so call today on 054 7777 731 and get accepted. For more information, go to hcuc.edu.gh. Heritage Christian College, a university educating compassionate entrepreneurial leaders.
Oh, Jack, now, where are you in a hurry to?
Child, I'm going to Imperial to do my car insurance.
What's happening there? Because Info and Yaba also told me they're going there this morning for their car insurance.
Masa, you haven't heard. Now, the Imperial is the name in insurance in Ghana here.
Really?
Share. Imperial General is saying, come insure your vehicle with them at any of their branches or agents or even online from now till the end of March 2023 and get yourself handsome rewards, fuel coupons, special souvenirs, gift vouchers, and many, many more. And here's the catch. During this reward period, you will also get a free 1-year life insurance cover in addition to your motor insurance cover.
What the wow! So does it include with the taxi drivers and the e-taxis?
Hey, everybody qualifies. So just come insure your car and you are done. Call 0302 788 955 for further details. T's and C's apply. Imperial General Assurance. Solid protection.
More. It's something we're promised a lot these days. But what does more actually look like? Well, in Emirates economy, it's endless entertainment on the biggest screens in the sky plus live sport. That's more. Gourmet cuisine that gives you a taste of your destination, served with free-flowing drinks. That's more. Special meals and toys for kids to keep your little explorers happy. That's more. So whichever way you look at it, more really does mean more in Emirates economy. Fly Emirates. Fly better.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
You're welcome back to Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We're talking about the Auditor General, the letter that was written to him by the Attorney General on whether or not he should be publishing reports of his audit work before Parliament concludes its work. Today, Hansen Ajima went to Parliament to speak to members of the Appointments Committee. He spoke to Murtala Mohammed of Tamale Central. You heard him earlier. Let's hear now the interview with the NPP Member of Parliament, who is also a member of their Accounts Committee, Dr. Dixon. Casey, this is his perspective on the issue.
The Attorney General believes that this affects the aims that the auditing seeks to achieve, and particularly the work of Parliament to first look at this and make their recommendations. Does the timing of the publication in any way affect the work of the Public Accounts Committee?
It doesn't. We are looking at, we just looked at documents from 2020. We're in 2023. So invariably, we're now going to look at 2021, 2022, and then get to 2023. And that's why I say that government has a way of working, and public account has a way of working. And eventually, we'll get to this report. And the work we do has, some of the cases might have superstardom. Let me put it that way. It's just like the Supreme Court, where they take about 1,000 decisions in a year, but usually during the year, there might be 2 or 3 decisions that the whole country is excited about. So Public Account Committee, we go through a barrage of cases, and some stick out, some stick out, and that is what then the whole world wants to zoom in on. But I can assure you that per the experience Public Account has, nothing in the public domain will sway us into a decision. We work almost like a jury, in the sense that when juries take a case, they are not influenced. They are not supposed to be influenced by public perception, and we will do the work to the best of our knowledge and the best of our abilities. And I can, at this point, assure Ghanaians that they are very skilled professional people on public account, and this time round, in fact, looking at the caliber of people on the Public Account Committee, I mean, I'm a medical doctor by training, and also a background in economics, and just myself alone, adds a lot to the committee. Then you have accountant background, you have people from communication, people from all kinds of background. And I'm going to be particularly interested in COVID because of my medical background and my knowledge about financing of medical project. And I think that the Speaker has even commissioned a committee to attend to this. And that committee also has people from all kinds of background, finance especially. And when we look at this, we will be able to then come out with a recommendation or a report to address Ghanaian, populace, their concerns about COVID. And I think that some of the things might be knee-jerk response, but I must say that from what I know in governance at this point in time, there's no need in being hasteful with auditing. We should let the institutions work. And when the institutions work very well, all of us will come to a conclusion or an agreement that, listen, in truthfulness, the cabinet made the right decision about this, considering the times we were in. And now that we're in normal times, of course, this may not have been done, or that may not have been done. So that is my take on this, and I think that it was extraordinary times, and Attorney General should, as the ever people say, budgety, just relax. And I'm very sure that there was an administrative reason for this early release, more so because of the enormity of the request from even the minority. The minority has been pushing and pushing and pushing. And I think that, anybody could have even posed this question on the floor. And basically, Finance Ministry, Auditor General will then have to provide it. And it will be still in the public domain. So I think that considering the times we're in, and the fact that opposition wants everything expedited, and we need to, have a happy medium, I think I'm very comfortable. And it will not influence the work we do by any, imaginable amount at all.
So that's Dr. Dixon Kisi. He is a member of the NPP. He's an NPP MP and a member of the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament. We can now hear from Dr. Kojo Pumpuni Asante of the CDD. Hansen Ajiman again spoke to him on what the CDD makes of that letter to the Auditor General by the Attorney General. Listen.
Actually, I think some of us are shocked. I mean, this is completely unprecedented in many ways. We didn't expect that, there's going to be this. For me, we consider it as an assault on the Auditor General again already. And from civil society, the concerns we have had with the way government has gone about pursuing certain actions that have weakened the Auditor General and threatening the protections that independent governance institutions have. So, for me, this letter was shocking. I did not expect, and of course, a very flawed argument that was being made by the Attorney General. I said it's odd, it's preposterous, it's illogical in many ways, because for me, first of all, the Constitution doesn't make any provision that says you can only publish after Parliament has debated it, or says that no, you are not allowed to publish anything. And as you rightly said, Section 23 of the Audit Service Act is very clear that you publish right after you lay it before Parliament. So if we're talking about law, there is no confusion as to what the Auditor General's powers are. But if you think about it, the idea that an audit report is final after it's been debated by Parliament goes against every auditing principle that you can think of. You take any company audit or whatever. Once an audit is done by an external auditor, which is what the Auditor General is, management is asked, to review, give comments, and then the audit is final. It goes to the board as a final audit. The board then has to take actions in terms of implementing or asking the executive or whoever is managing the organization to implement it. That is the role of Parliament. Parliament are the representatives of the people. We are the shareholders of Ghana Incorporated. And so Parliament's rightful duty is that once the external auditor has done his professional job, which is the final report, and it goes, they debate it, they discuss it, what are the causes of these problems, and then task the executive to make sure that they can address these problems so that you can protect the public purse. That is Parliament's duty. Parliament is not going to go back and alter, amend, challenge the findings of the Auditor General. Actually, the Constitution is very clear. If there are any irregularities where the Auditor General disallowed expenditure and has surcharge, it's only the High Court you can go to go and resolve it. It didn't say go to Parliament. So even what PAC has been doing, for me, I think it's not the right thing. PAC is supposed to make sure, yes, when you are engaging entities, is that now that the report has come out, what are you doing to address these things? And then you have Government Assurances Committee and other committees like the PAC to continue to make sure that the right things are done. But even if Parliament is the one that you are looking at to play this role, this is the same Parliament with 275 members who sit on boards of entities that may be implicated in the Auditor General's report. How are they going to, in their conflict of interest situation, going to go and debate reports that might concern their own entities?
Do you think the Attorney General is missing the plot on how to even strengthen the audit service or the work of the Auditor General? In your experience in working with the Auditor General, has issues about the timing of releasing a report been of a concern to anybody at all?
I am surprised that the Attorney General is now seeing a violation. When Mr. Demlovo did the 2016 liabilities of government, when the new NPP came into office, I don't recall when he published it on the website, before going to Parliament, that there was a violation of the Constitution. Indeed, actually, the President made it an issue at his State of the Nation address, even before it was debated in Parliament. So I think that, first of all, the revelations in the COVID-19, which everybody must take seriously, and we have to get to the bottom of it, and we're all going to dedicate ourselves to make sure we get to the bottom of it. If it's caused government embarrassment, they are making their matters worse by this route. But I do not expect the Attorney General to use his office, to roll us back from all the gains we have made to strengthen independent governance institutions and make them, more effective. We have been already, as I said, we've already been crying about some of the challenges that have been, the impediments that have been put in their path. And now we have this. It's completely needless. We are in an economic situation, crisis right now, where we are talking about how, if we were taking care of our monies well. And now we are saying that, no, the Auditor General's report should be, it's Parliament that is going to determine the findings of an audit report. I think it's really preposterous, and it's not something that should be countenanced.
This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. You're listening there to Dr. Kojo Asante of CDD, giving his own views on the letter that the Attorney General wrote to the Auditor General on the publication of, asking him to pull down the report that he has published on his website. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We are coming to you from our studios in Adabraka, Accra. We've been trying to hear from Mr. Ekwuama Johnson Ekwuama, who is a new Auditor General. Since we saw the letter of the Attorney General yesterday, he has not responded to our request for an interview, but we'll keep trying. When we get a response from him, we will share that with you. Let me bring you some of the messages that have been coming through. Jeremiah Dozie, or Dozier from Jirapa, says, so in Ghana now, if anything in the public domain indicts the MPP, it is against the laws of the country, and the particular law should be amended. But if it's about the NDC or any other party in the right direction, why? What sort of hypocrisy is this? The Auditor General's report is perfect and it should be applauded because that was how the COVID-19 money was distributed by MPP members. An audio tape of an MPP member is testifying to this. Prof from Tema says there's nothing wrong with the law on audit processes. They are looking for an escape. At the end of the day, it is the audited report that will be published, not the PAC report, not the PAC report. So whether the AG waits or not, it will not change. That's the reason the law says as soon as it is submitted to Parliament, publish it. It's also a check on Parliament not to hide any aspect. General Ortega says, good evening, Umaru. Any auditor that sends his findings to the appropriate authority without input or explanation from the person audited is not a professional and a big embarrassment. Abdurazak in Boku said it is now illegal to publish corruption and corruption-related matters in Ghana, and a person who said, I will use the ANAS principle to fight corruption in this country. So sad. Daniel Atia in Dansoman says, good evening, Umaru. The Auditor General shouldn't be published. The Auditor General's report shouldn't be published according to the MPP. Indeed, corruption has become a menace under the leadership of President Akufo-Addo. Zealous Dwayne in London says this government is a failure. Shame on them. Send us your message to 0549 986 996.
Witness News. Be there as it happens.
Haruna football from around the world. Feely on HD Plus from 17 January 2023. Score HD is available only on HD Plus channel on 5.1.
It's amazing! Month of Love is here again. Stand a chance of getting freebies and vouchers from no other than EGL, Electroland Ghana Limited. From now to the end of February 2023. This is the month of love from Toshiba, Media, Samsung. Not forgetting NASCO television starting from 1,999 Ghana cedis. Fridges, ACs, washing machines, and more in stock. Plus special love offers running in these EGL showrooms. EGL Ring Road, adjacent Paloma Hotel. EGL Spinktons Road, Coca-Cola Runabout. EGL Hacho, opposite Access Bank. And EGL Adenta, near the Toe and Tip School. Call 050-315-9739. Promo is valid from now to the end of February.
My man, I heard there's a new app on the streets that does it all for you.
Really? How is that possible?
Charlie, I also could not believe it too. But I downloaded the app and I'm telling you, I was able to chat with my friends, make video calls, and...
Well, we know of many apps that can do that.
Oh, let me finish, la. I was also able to listen to the latest songs, play games, and read the latest sports news.
For real?
Yeah, and I can send and receive money from the app. Amazing, no?
What's the name of this app?
It's called Ayoba.
Ayoba?
Yeah, Ayoba.
Get Ayoba, your all-in-one app that lets you chat, call, share, play, pay, and listen to music all in one app for everyone. Enjoy Ayoba with MTN and download the Ayoba app today. Everywhere you go.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
Welcome back to Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We are coming to you from our studios in Adabraka in Accra. Let's talk about some other issues now, and Shika has a story.
The Ghana Catholic Bishop Conference is appealing to government to utilize all resources at its disposal to find lasting solution to the Boku conflict. About 7 people have recently been killed as a result of the long-standing feud. Addressing the press conference, President of the Bishops' Conference, Most Reverend Matthew Kwesi Jemfi, bemoaned the security situation in the community, indicating that the situation provides a platform for infiltration of terrorist groups.
We wish to reiterate our appeal to government as a matter of urgency to use all the resources at its disposal to ensure that a lasting solution is found to the protracted conflict in Boku. The situation of insecurity in Boku and its environs is further compounded by the recent influx of refugees from Burkina Faso into the area, thus putting further pressure on the already impoverished and beleaguered communities welcoming these refugees who are seeking safe haven. This influx could become a breeding ground for the infiltration of terrorist groups operating in neighboring countries. We call on government, and most especially state institutions mandated to deal with migrants and displaced people, to step up their humanitarian response to the situation in and around Boku to avert further suffering inflicted on the population of the area. At the same time, we urge the government to empower the national security apparatus to ensure the non-infiltration of terrorist groups into the country. While commending the security personnel on the ground for working towards security and peace in Boku, we call on them to be more professional and circumspect in the discharge of their duties and be measured in the use of their firearms so as not to kill innocent people. We also urge them to desist from some of the inhumane treatment and brutalities being meted out to innocent citizens of Boku. At all costs, we must avoid actions that will result in reprisals effect from aggrieved people. We equally commend the efforts of the national and regional peace councils and other participants who are working feverishly to find a lasting solution to the Boku conflict, and urge them to continue working with us, the bishops, the Catholic Church, to engage the parties involved in the conflict. We finally appeal to the factions involved in the Boku conflict, as well as all stakeholders, such as the traditional leaders, faith groups, print and electronic media, natives and non-indigenous, political party groups, and the international community to do everything possible to help the process of peace building for the sake of our brothers and sisters in Boku area and for the peace of Ghana. We pray, God, bless our homeland Ghana and make our nation great and strong.
That was the Most Reverend Matthew Kwesi Jemfi, who is president of the Ghana Catholic Bishop Conference. Now, the former minority leader in Parliament, Haruna Iddrisu, today turned down a seat offered him in Parliament by the leadership of the Minority Caucus. The Member of Parliament for Tamale South bemoans that the seat offered him belongs to the Member of Parliament for Isutifi South, Collins Dauda, who is his senior colleague, hence cannot accept the seat. He made this known during a contribution to a debate on the African Union Convention on Cross-Border Cooperation, also known as the Niamey Convention, while sitting on the seat belonging to the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Joseph Osei-Wusu.
So, Mr. Speaker, forgive me that I have to assume your chair there was whether I should take over from Honorable Collins Dowda or not. And I've told them that Honorable Collins Dowda is senior by age. Senior not fit into his chair as somebody who is well trained from home. So any other chair, Mr. Speaker, acceptable to me. I'm still the elected member of Parliament for Tamale South. I thank you.
That was the former minority leader in Parliament and MP for Tamale South, Haruna Iddrisu there. Now, the Asokwa Circuit Court has remanded the National Democratic Congress NDC youth organizer for the Swami constituency into police custody. The accused person, 32-year-old Razak Kwampa Avolia, was detained by police for inciting political violence. Dozens of NDC supporters gathered at the Asokwa Court complex this morning ahead of Mr. Kwampa's appearance. He has been charged with offensive conduct conducive to breaches of the peace. The prosecution prayed the court to remand the suspect to give the police ample time to continue investigations. But counsel for the accused, Evan Samankwa, insisted his client was not a flight risk person and will not interfere with investigations if he was granted bail.
I applied for bail because in as much as his plea has not been taken, does not vitiate the fact of asking for bail for him. So we applied for bail for him. But unfortunately, the court refused the bail on condition that it borders on national security, which I'm a bit dumbfounded. The fundamental basis of bail, other granting or refusal of bail, is the fact that if the accused person or the suspect is granted bail, will he avail himself to stand trial? But the accused person has proved beyond reasonable doubt. Because when police issued statement for his arrest, he willingly tendered himself in with his lawyer. That is me. It's unfortunate. But the case has been adjourned to 14th. So putting Razak Kwampa into custody will not deter any NDC person from speaking. But one thing that I want to establish as a fact is that NDC as a party is not interested in destabilizing the peace of this country. That's supposed to remain resolute to anybody.
Evan Samankwa is the lawyer for the National Democratic Congress youth organizer for the Swami constituency, who has been remanded into police custody.
This Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. There was an expectation that President Akufo-Addo was going to reshuffle his government. That expectation has been there since last year. Well, the reshuffling has not happened, but he has appointed new persons to fill the vacant positions in his government. This announcement happened in Parliament on Tuesday. Many people thought that there should be a reshuffle where people were moved from their ministries to another. That did not happen. Instead, the same number of people who left his government have been appointed to replace same. So the same size of government. Now, this has got many people talking. The Pentecostal and Charismatic Council is talking to the government, and it says, downsize your government, cut costs. That's a publication in the Daily Graphic. Let's speak to the church now and understand exactly how this difficulty is affecting the nation and why it thinks that this is the way to go. Apostle Emmanuel Ni Okule Tete is the new General Secretary of the Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council. You're welcome to Eyewitness News. Apostle, tell us where this idea is coming from.
Thank you very much, Umaru, and good evening to your listeners. Yes, last week we met, that is Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council. We have our annual conference of heads of churches and organizations. That is all the member churches that come together to form the ecumenical body, Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council, which is actually the largest Christian body in Ghana, ecumenical group in Ghana. Last week, we had a conference of heads of churches and organizations at the Pentecost Convention Center. And part of our deliberation focused on the country Ghana, our economy, the environment, governance, and so on. I mean, all of that is of concern to the ministries. So we were in discussion and different persons had presentations. At the end of the conference, we gathered our thoughts and put it together as a communique, which we presented to the Minister for Information last Monday, just this past Monday, that with information that it will get to the Jubilee House and work will be done on it. So that is how come we have this release, which is the communique of the Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council.
How troubling do you think the size of the government is? And when you say downsize, how down is the size that you're looking for?
Yeah, we cannot put figures to it. We cannot put figures to it. The call for us at this point in time is that urgent also because of the circumstances we find ourselves in. I mean, we are all aware this call has been on as far as I can remember that the government, the Akufo-Addo administration came to office. And when the ministers and the ministries were being announced, people had concerns. But he had been voted into office. There is an agenda, there is a vision. And so he spoke to Ghanaians and said, well, there is something they want to achieve. And this size is what will bring us the results. We've been on for 6 into the 7th year now. And where we are now, we realize economic situation is a bit dire. It's a bit difficult. Last Monday or so, I think I heard the finance minister mention that if by March we don't get the IMF program on, economy is literally crashing, which other economists are disputing. But he is in the seat of our finances. And so I want to put more premium on what he is saying for now. And so we think in order to get domestic bondholders also to support the government call, we think government should also show some goodwill. Government has been making a lot of efforts, but in terms of its size, in terms of expenditure, we think government should show some more goodwill in visibly reducing government machinery, visibly. Not in rhetoric, but let us see it. Let's see the numbers come down. Let us reduce the projects, so that we make some savings there. And that can also be used to offset some of our debts, so that when we are calling on the citizenry to also make sacrifices, it will be more appreciated. I think we are struggling with the Ghana Individual Bondholders Forum, because they don't see the commitment, they don't see the visible commitment of government when it comes to efforts to also tighten our belt as a country, and yet we want them to make the sacrifices. So we're asking for government to visibly downsize. GPCC cannot say reduce to 50 or reduce to 35 or 83, but something visible and which will be appreciated by the people of Ghana, we think.
Do you think you will be listened to, because the call and demand for the government to be downsized has been made in several quarters? We've not seen anything done about it.
Yeah, I've had to respond to this particular question a couple of times already. And we think in a lot of areas, government, whether intentionally or because of the circumstances, we've seen governments ultimately listen to some calls that have been made. And so the idea will not be to, despair or throw our hands in the air and say, well, this call has been made several times, so let's sit back and watch. Like I said earlier, it's visibly very, very difficult where we are now. And so we are only adding our voice to the many preceding voices, asking government to downsize and to cut down expenditure. Sometimes you never know. The last straw, they say, always breaks the back of the camel. Maybe our voice is what will make government respond to the call, given that these are ministers who have prayed for the country and who have prayed for the government. Hopefully, God will touch the heart of government to listen to the voice of the ministers.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. That's Apostle Emmanuel Neo Okule Teti. He is the new General Secretary of the Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council. Nashika.
Lawyers for the minority leader, Dr. Atto Forson, have refuted claims by the prosecution that their client, as Deputy Finance Minister, authorized the establishment of letters of credit for the purchase of some ambulances. The former Deputy Finance Minister and 2 others are on trial for counts of causing financial loss to the state over the importation of 30 ambulances. These were part of a contract between the Ministry of Health and Dubai-based firm Dixon Limited in 2012 for the purchase of 200 ambulances. The prosecution today presented its last witness, who was an investigator with the Economic and Organized Crime Office. The lawyers of the accused during cross-examination, however, posed the view that Dr. Atto Forson acted only on behalf of former Finance Minister Seth Terkper. But the witness insisted investigations revealed that the NDC legislature acted without authorization from Seth Terkper. The case has been adjourned to Friday 14 for cross-examination to continue.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. Citi Business News. Be informed.
Time now for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News, powered by citibusinessnews.com. My name is Shika. Let's settle for the details. An economist, Professor Godfred Bobkin, is projecting an increase in the country's unemployment rate should the domestic debt exchange program be implemented. The government is embarking on a debt restructuring program to enable it access a $3 billion loan from the IMF, which will ultimately restore fiscal stability in the country. The program has been met with widespread criticisms, especially by bondholders who stand to lose their investments due to the program. Speaking to Citi Business News, Professor Godfred Bobkin says there will be massive job losses because the financial sector will experience serious liquidity challenges.
The debt restructuring, if it goes through, the implications are quite obvious, even now and for the foreseeable future. With time and as the effect of the debt exchange settles through the system, those qualitative observations begin to take on quantitative dimensions. So, for instance, given the banks that have signed up, cumulatively, the liquidity losses in the books of the banks would exceed 6 billion cedis. What that means is that amount of credit that these banks could have given to borrowers, private sector, to expand their businesses and create jobs will no longer be available for lending. So there's going to be a credit squeeze. In terms of the impairment losses on the books of the banks, we are looking at something close to 30% in net present value terms on the books of those participating financial institutions or banks. Again, that has implications for liquidity and also credit lending or lending to the private sector that is actually supposed to be the engine of growth. That is that the negative information characterizing the debt exchange and all of that, it also signals a certain state of the economy, right? And essentially depresses the net worth of firms with negative implications for investment, growth, and employment generation.
Professor Godfred Bobkin is an economist. Now, the governor of the Bank of Ghana, BOG, Dr. Ernest Addison, has assured the market that his outfit will keep implementing measures to fight against inflation. Despite several policy directives, managers of the economy have failed to significantly improve general price levels over the years. Inflation ended 2022 at 54.1% from 50.3% the prior month. He made the call at the 2023 State Interest and Governance Authority Annual Stakeholders Engagement in Kwewu.
We started 2022 with the downgrading of our economy, and therefore this source of financing was not available. In addition to that, as my colleague, the Deputy Minister, said, the revenue measures were not working. We were in a situation in which the revenue forecast for the year were performing below targets. Now, all of this meant that government financing was in a lot of trouble. Expenditures needed to be undertaken, and there was really no money. And under the circumstances, the central bank had to step in to help us go through this difficult patch. Now, it's important to recognize that we could have gone into this crisis much earlier than we went into. If the Bank of Ghana hadn't stepped in to sort of smoothen the path, there were a lot of people who came into the country and were surprised about the fact that they didn't see any sign of crisis anywhere. Where is the crisis? We don't see any crisis in Ghana. Yes, you didn't see the crisis because the central bank was helping to manage the situation.
That was the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison. Moving on, based on the current liquidity challenges facing the bonds market due to the ongoing domestic debt exchange program, fund management company Databank is appealing to school authorities to extend the deadline for the payment of school fees. The investment company in a letter indicated that the call for the extension is due to their inability to pay its customers' securities as a result of government efforts to manage its debt through the domestic debt exchange program. Gillian Hammer is the Group Chief Marketing Officer of Databank, and she added that the move was part of efforts to show her outfit's concern towards the challenging defiling clients due to the challenges confronting the sector.
Here is the situation. The clients have the money. We can show you proof that the clients have the money. It's just that through no fault of their own, they're in this situation and they're not able to pay their fees. So to the extent that you can give them some grace or extend some measure of patience, it would be good. So that was the intent of it, to help our clients, because everybody is in difficult times. Nobody is immune. And we're just trying to do the best that we can with the situation that we are dealing with. So that's what brought us to this point. We have done it, and a number of schools have been receptive to it. Others have said they have bills to pay, and rightly so. You can't fault anybody for saying that. And we're all in business. Prices are going up. So it's becoming more and more difficult to even pay your basic bills. So we understand, and it was never to make an absolute statement to the schools, but just to seek their assistance.
Gillian Hammer is the Group Chief Marketing Officer of Databank. Finally, as part of strategies to offer young entrepreneurs the springboard onto the business world, Holland Insurance Ghana Limited has organized a Holland Streetwise Finance Business Challenge among universities. The insurance company believes the challenge will serve as a catalyst and offer seed capital for winners. The Managing Director of Holland Insurance Ghana Limited, Daniel Addo, has been speaking to Citi Business News.
I think for years, the business community has had reason to question the way the universities train our graduates. I mean, we've always made the point that the instruction is too theoretical. So graduates leave and then they have no entrepreneurial skill, or they expect someone else to employ them, or they always expect to be told what to do. And we've made that claim for years. And when we found out that the University of Ghana has built an innovation center where they would train students to bridge this gap or to correct this problem, we were excited. And that's the reason why we are here. At Holland, we strive to be a catalyst for positive and enduring change. So if we see any program started anywhere in the country that we think will have a positive effect on the country, we join. And we are passionate about this country. We are here to stay. I mean, so luckily for us, the two universities have trained and have readied the students. I mean, a lot of work has gone into this the last few months, and we are grateful to them for this. We are going to hear pitches from 7 different student companies on what they seek to do, and then we would pick 3 ideas which we think are scalable, are feasible, and solve ready problems.
That was the Managing Director of Holland Insurance Ghana Limited, Daniel Addo. That's all for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News. It was powered by your most comprehensive business website, citibusinessnews.com. My name is Nashika Caesar. Up next is Point Blank.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
You know your papa see that? And it's rickety car. Hey, papa! Papa!
Bobo, so how your engine now? It is half man, half amazing. Thanks to Cause and you can feel better energy.
Can't touch this.
Actually
guys, so Sancho's engine just died like that? Yes, so somebody managed to convince him that there is a better engine oil than Quartz, and he switched. Sancho Panza. Now, which engine oil can be better than Quartz? No other, my guy. Quartz with its age-resistant technology, it keeps your engine younger for longer. Now you know. Have you guys seen the new bottle design? It's superb. Quartz 9000 from Total Energies there improves fuel efficiency. Why do you think Mr. Mane and Logoso have taken the Quartz Nation Movement World Cup like that? Sorry. Chairman. Quartz. Keep your engine younger for longer.
One gunner, pet. Just one gunner.
Yo, bro, I beg, make you give me correct shock absorber. Or make I do video concept, then take the Gaussian P for the engine show you.
Hey, yawa humache. Every morning you the tear calls, they browse, actually something they there.
Hey, Tago, the way town make hot, I grow best one if you no po. If it be you where you get Vodafone one Ghana promo them out, 20 minutes talk time to call all networks, where you start get data and 1 gig from 5 a.m. to 11:59 a.m. Bye. Anka, you go do pass me safe, Anka. You dial *530# hash. Make we enjoy. You go fit subscribe as many times as you want.
Yes, plantain.
Yo, sweet Ama, take this by Vodafone 1 Ghana bundle. Moku vibe plus video calls and taste. You catch the vibe. Early morning, 5 a.m. sharp.
Vodafone, further together.
Ajwapa, what's all this condom business? Oh, I've told her over and over again that she won't get pregnant. And she's still insisting. Oh, isn't she the same person who said we would not have sex till we go out for at least 2 years? For all this time? Oh, and she still can't trust me enough? Ama, when I try to do something small, no, condom this, condom that. So handsome man like me, she probably thinks I have HIV?
Using a condom will protect you and your partner. Condoms are effective for protection against a wide spectrum of STIs and HIV infection. Don't take risks. Use a condom every time. Always come prepared.
This advert is brought to you by the Ghana AIDS Commission.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Blanc on Eyewitness News. My name is Umaru Sanda. Tonight on Point Blank, the pensioner bondholders who have been picketing at the Ministry of Finance demanding that they be saved. Save our souls, essentially, is what they've been saying. It's 4 days. So tonight we invited them in studio for Point Blank to ask them, so far, how far? Dr. Edouard Anientri is convener of the Pensioner Bondholders Forum. You're welcome, Doc.
Thank you.
Adobia Ado-Asante is a member of the Pensioner Bondholders Forum. You're welcome, madam.
Thank you.
We've heard from Dr. Asante, Dr. Entry a number of times. We are having you in the studio for the first time, Madam Adobia. Tell us your own story. I want to hear your story first, then we'll come to Doc.
Thank you so much. I mean, my own story as a pensioner is also to plead for total exemption. As you've heard us saying for more than 3 weeks, most of us do not work. So this is our lifetime savings. This is the gratuity that most of us, received when we went on pension.
So before we talk about the consequence of what the government plans to do, tell us your story. So what did you do? How long ago did you retire? What was your plan when you put the money, investing it for your pension? If you could share some of those.
Yes, I retired.
If it's not too personal, you can share.
Well, I retired last year in January, and I used virtually about 99% of my gratuity into the bonds, because I knew that the bonds were risk-free. I've never heard of the government ever defaulting payment of coupons or bonds upon maturity. And so I thought I had invested in a very risk-free bond. I've never heard the government going bankrupt. So I knew that I was going on retirement peacefully and going to enjoy all the comforts of what a pensioner should enjoy, having worked so hard for over 34 years.
In which of the sectors?
In the financial sector.
Okay. So you understand the market very well. You knew what you were doing.
Yes, because as I said, I knew I was going into something that was risk-free and a very long-term, a long-term investment. And unfortunately, it looks like what we bargained for.
It's not what you're getting.
It's not what we are getting.
Even though that's your sector in the finance world, so you understand these things work, do you not think that it was too audacious to have put 90% of your proceeds in there, your gratuity into that particular one? Could you not have put it elsewhere? Maybe invested in cattle, for instance.
Well, not all of us have the business acumen, and I know parents, elderly ones who've also had bonds for so many years and haven't had any problem with it. And so I thought, and I knew at that time that it was the best choice, the best way to go, because, as I said, I don't have the business acumen, and I knew that with my little pension, the bonds would definitely help me.
So essentially, you're going to be doing hand to mouth. The government will keep the money for you. You knew that every year or every 3 years or every 5 years, you know how much you're going to make on how much you've given to the government. And so you essentially plan to survive on that, not to come and be running business with your gratuity. That was your plan.
Yes, the coupons were supposed to come every 6 months. Yes.
And so that was what you were going to survive on, pretty much.
Exactly, in addition to my pension.
Okay.
Yes, which is not much.
So your life, you had it figured out?
Planned out.
Using this as a basis?
Of course, yes.
Dr. Entry, let me hear your story again. So you were in the finance world.
Yes.
You actually
I was teaching people
how to
advising people to invest.
You were with the
security
exchange. So this would have been your
area.
40.
Yes.
And you were telling people that no, this is the safest thing to do.
That is what I have done whilst I was there, advising people.
What percentage of your own?
For me, every investment that I got, in fact, I started investing somewhere 77.
Before the coup of 79?
Yes. Because I started working 75.
Okay.
And savings has been part of me.
So throughout military rule, I was
still saving.
And all these were not touched?
Yes.
The Achampon time was what, 78?
Yes.
Okay, he came 72.
I remember years back when you have to go to the Bank of Ghana and buy your treasury bills. I personally go take the money there and buy your treasury bills or your bonds. So yes.
Until it became computerized, so that you just click and then you buy.
Yes.
And so almost everything you have has been in the bond market.
Yes.
And you expected that what will happen. You retired, what, 5 years ago?
6 years ago.
6 years ago. What was your plan?
For my sustenance, when people say work, I say, look, if I were in the UK or the US, I don't retire and continuously be working. Then what is the essence of that retirement? I should save, put money away somewhere, and then allow my investment to take care of me, at least basic things that I need in my life, medication, your light bill, your water bill. You come out, you leave your official driver there, you leave office car. Office was giving you medical, paying your medical bills, water, and these are the things I teach people, that as soon as you come out, when people think that you are going to have less expenditure, no, your expenditure level rises, because the things that you used to get free, you're getting coupon for fuel. You had I had a security man.
Mm-hmm.
You see, when you
because you were top there, top of the
two security
SEC,
men. As soon as I retire, I have to be paying them myself.
Or you let them go.
Or I let them go.
The state doesn't help you with that.
The state doesn't help you anyway.
So you thought you were being smart.
Yes.
So let me put this money down to
so
protect
that if
myself.
all these things cease, at least I know I have something to do. I'm growing. I have to get a driver because you stop your driver.
Mm-hmm.
You have to pay for your own medical. You have to pay for your own electricity, your water, your everything.
And this story of yours is similar to other stories of the people who were joining you for the picketing.
Exactly. We had an 81-year-old.
When you first heard, initially they had told us that pension funds would not be taxed. But when it turned out that pension funds were going to be taxed and you knew the consequence, how did you feel?
I felt very devastated, and I felt it was a big betrayal on the part of the Minister of Finance.
What did you then think was going to happen to you in terms of the negative consequences?
Well, I even though I felt devastated, I believed that eventually he would give in to our plea of exempting pensioners, because if pensioners' funds had been exempted, we knew that as pensioners, our funds were also used to purchase the bonds, and so what is good for the goose would definitely be good for the gander, and so we knew that inwardly I knew that it would be sorted out at the end of the day.
It's been weeks now.
As the days go by, I realized that nothing is happening, and it's still worrying, but we can never give up. We can never give up. We can never give up.
Dr. Antwi, the Minister of Finance spoke to us and said, "Buamina mimbuao or buayena yembuamo."
Yeah, you see, well, if I want to take it even on the face of it, if a financial institution says we have held 50 businesses, what do you understand by that? If a financial institution says we have held 50 businesses, basically it means they have what? They have given loans to them to operate their businesses. So if I have given loan to you, I have helped you.
So you mean you've been helping the government since 1975?
Yes, I've helped you. By buying,
you've already done the
yes,
helping.
Once I'm giving you, I'm buying your bills and your bonds. I'm giving you credit. We all, if you are at the village and you need a child's school fees, you go round begging. Mm-hmm. You beg. There are some people, they say, you tell them your whole story before they say, I'm sorry, I can't give you. So if somebody grants you loan, that person has helped you. So the minister should know we have already helped by giving you the loans.
But these are critical times, and the kind of help the minister wants, I'm sure you clearly understand that. We need to be out of the problem that we are, and contributions from your good selves would come in handy. That's what the minister means.
Where contributions mean?
Your pension funds.
He knows very well that, yes, having been able to exempt the pension fund, which is quite a big amount, I think, Matthew, almost 30 billion. Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't he be able to, exempt pensioners' funds, which must be...
I think if between, not up to even 3 billion.
It shouldn't be.
That's
even,
what I'm
even if it were 3-4 billion. So why can't you, if you've been able to sacrifice about 30 billion for those who are still working,
who are yet to
go, the future pensioners,
because they have a bigger union. There's NAGRAD, there's NAT, there's TEU, all of them. They can hold the government to ransom. You cannot. You can only hold your walking sticks.
Yes, and continue picketing and continue. Talking to other. Individuals, other people.
Leaders in the society.
Leaders in the society. They all sympathize with us, and so we believe that this continuous picketing, this continuous push, these such conversations as we're having now, would help soften I mean, for want of a better word, the heart of the finance minister.
Dr. Andrew, are you really sure you are making any impact with your picketing? Because you've gone from Monday to date. The minister met you on day one, and that's it.
Sure.
Are you sure his heart is being touched?
I believe so. You see, it takes some time. People, maybe I believe he's putting some figures together. That's what my belief is. He's adding up and see if this thing happens, what will happen. So I believe he's doing that. And you see, when the Tuesday, was it Tuesday? Today is Thursday. It was Tuesday that we had when Parliament resumed.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as Parliament, I believe it was that picketing that, drew the attention to Parliament rather fast when they came, even though we have sent them a copy of the petition. This was, something that you have seen, being played on television, you see in the elderly. So even if you were looking at it, you were taking your time to look at it. Immediately, you say, no, this one, we must do something immediately, the way things are going. So that alone shows that the effect is there. And again, the first day, we wanted to meet the minister. We couldn't meet him. He didn't come down until we all left. And 5 of us who were still available met him. And some people have come to say, do you think that sometimes you go picketing and nobody will come and even talk to you? And I told them that, well, these are elderly people. Sometimes maybe some of the people that we are having even passed to be your father or your mother. So definitely you have to respect them and come. And of course, he came very late, but at least it was good that he has come. So I believe that these things are going to work, because you won't be comfortable looking at this and allow it to go on and on and on and on. That's a bad image we are creating for this country. The first time in history. I'm only 66 years, but I haven't heard
before that
anything of this nature has happened in this country, not even when they were trying to get independence. So it's a bad image for the country.
Could it be that you are misdirecting your attack, quote and unquote? Maybe you should have gone to the Jubilee House. There's a 78-year-old man there. He has retired 18 years ago, if we were to go by the retirement year of 60. And I'm referring to the president, Nana Akufo-Addo. Why didn't you go to him instead? He would understand your plight better. He's a retired man too.
He's a retired man, but he's put the affairs, the finances, in the hands of Honorable.
But the buck stops with the president.
The buck stops with the president, but we felt. I mean, it was a step in the right direction to deal with the Minister of Finance, and of course he handles everything, and I believe that he advises the president's, on the financial status and everything. And I believe that talking to him is just like talking to the presidents. I mean, there's a saying we say that if you want to talk to God, you should sing through the wind. And so I think that talking to the Honourable Minister about our plight was, the best step in the best direction.
So you return tomorrow? You go to the ministry again tomorrow?
We will go.
Dr. Entry, so what next? Tomorrow is the deadline. After tomorrow...
Before the deadline, let me add on to the presidency. I think the first, the petition, he was the only one copied to. They copied itself on the face of the letter. To the finance minister, copied to the president. So he was copied, delivered to his office. So when we're dealing with the finance minister and it looks as we are not getting what we want to get, we tried to book an appointment with the chief of staff. That was this Friday before, on the Friday before this last Friday. And we went there. They took the letter and they said we should bring a letter again the next Monday. So Monday we sent an official letter wanting to have a meeting with the chief of staff. That's a way of getting to
the president.
Okay. That Monday evening, I had a call from that office. Said they have received a letter that I sent in the morning, and that we're looking at getting time for us to meet. I haven't heard from that office again. And so we've done what we have to do to get to the presidency directly, even after we have copied this letter to the rest of the people who receive our petition. We sent the petition and a cover letter to them, not directly copied them on the face.
But he's the president
who had that.
What next for you after tomorrow?
Well, after tomorrow, we are going to continue with what we are doing.
Even on Monday?
Even on Monday.
If it's not withdrawn.
We have said, and sometimes, I don't know whether people think, if we have the strength, and we pray God that we should always have, if we have the strength, even if 10 people will have the strength, they will be there continuously until this exemption is granted. Monday, we will be there, God's willing. The only day that we are deciding not to be there will be Tuesday, when the minister is supposed to appear before Parliament. We are going to be in Parliament and see and hear for ourselves what he will tell Parliament, what the responses of Parliament will be, what the reaction of parliamentarians and others will be. So that day we won't be at the ministry.
But you won't go on weekend either because he won't be there on
working day. Our letter to the police says we are going there every working day until the matter is resolved.
Why don't you go to the courts?
No, we won't go to courts. The pension funds, those whose funds were supposed to be giving them, is to be giving them when they have come on retirement. They didn't go to court. It's a moral argument. If you think that people who are yet to come on pensions
should not be put on,
should not be taken through this kind of thing so that they don't come home and suffer, become a burden on others. And I'll share something that Biden said at his...
please share, because we are just leaving now.
So, you see, our government should note and take care of the elderly. This Biden's State of the Union address...
Joe Biden, President of America.
It is said that he mentioned senior citizens 9 times in the speech.
Because he's one of them.
It has never been mentioned 9 times for any American president as at now, because of the various programs he's putting in place for seniors. And look at what is it. He said you want to provide a higher benefit to the oldest Americans. At advanced ages, Americans become more vulnerable to exhausting their savings, even in America. Sometimes falling into poverty and living a life of hardship. Even in America, the president, in spite of all the good things that American people enjoy whilst on retirement, the head of state realized that still they need to do something more for them. And he's bringing more programs that will benefit the senior citizen, so that they don't go through hardship. You are here. We are unable to do any of these things for our seniors.
And yet, the
small thing that the senior has saved.
You want to call it?
You want to impair the income flow that is coming from it.
Thank you, Doc. Adubia, give me your final words. Speak to the finance minister. He's listening.
Well, Honorable Finance Minister, man of God, on behalf
white
of
shirt wearing, white dress wearing man of God.
In all humility, we are still on our knees pleading that all the pensioners need total exemption. You have heard a lot, the issues, the problems that will befall us if we don't receive these coupons. You've heard it over and over again. So we believe that at the end of the day, you would listen to our humble plea. It is our prayer that the good Lord would guide you to answer us. We know you're a man of God. We know that you respect your elders and you will do the needful. Thank you.
Thank you too. So that's Adobiado Asante, member, Pensioner Bondholders Forum, and Dr. Edwana Nyenchi, convener, Pensioner Bondholders Forum. Thank you so much for being on the program.
Thank you.
And wish you all the best. We'll be following your story for you.
Thank you.
And share with the world. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Umaru Sanda. Tonight I was on Eyewitness News with Shika Caesar. Production by Bevlin London with second cast support from Daniel Squashy. And Edwin Kwakofi was handling the new media side of things. Thank you for listening. Eyewitness News returns tomorrow at 17:30 GMT. Have a good night.